name is Hannah, and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. How are you? It has been 2 weeks, although if you saw the last video I popped up, it's really only been a week because I did something fun last weekend that I will talk a little bit about at the end of this episode, so stick around for that. I am literally surrounded by things to show you. But before we go any further, I do have a giveaway winner to announce. This is the winner of this leftover sock yarn, of which I made a pair of socks out of that I showed off last time. I do not know what kind of yarn this is. I think that it's probably Deborah Norville Serenity sock. Potentially, that's what it feels like to me. It's definitely a superwash merino nylon blend because I put my finished socks in the washer and the dryer. And they came out just fine, and I wore them all day yesterday, and it was freezing. And freezing to me, like, I know you guys know where it's actually freezing, meaning minus 32 degrees. Yeah, no, it was like 50 degrees. That's really cold to me. So I wore wool socks all day yesterday, and it is much warmer today, but I'm still wearing wool socks. So the person who has won, you had to go into the Ravelry group and answer a question. The person who has won is Denise from London. You are post number 15. And you said that you like handmade socks because you can make them fit just how you like. And you can make them in colors that are your favorite, and you like to make shorty socks, which is perfect because I think you can get an entire pair of shorty socks out of these. I will send you a message. I will put your Ravelry name down at the bottom of this screen, but I'll also send you a message on Ravelry. If you could just get back to me with your address, then I will ship those out. I know the mail is probably going to run a little bit slow because it's the holidays, but I will get those out in the mail to you. Also, one person has not contacted me regarding the prize that they won from the Nerd Along. So there were 8 prizes. 7 people have gotten back to me, and I have shipped all of those out. And hopefully you got your prize. I had a couple of you reach out to me and say that you received it, so thank you for doing that. There was one person who has not reached out to me yet, and that is Angela from Indiana. Your Ravelry name is This Beginner 2014. I did send you a Ravelry message, so please respond to that message and give me your address so that I can get your prize in the mail. I will give you 2 more weeks until I upload the next podcast, and if you haven't contacted me by then I'm just going to pull that prize and put it in the prize pile for the next crochet along that we are doing. Speaking of crochet alongs, I am going to talk a little bit about our next crochet along. I mentioned it in the last podcast episode, but now it's December, 7th? I think, Friday the 7th. And so Christmas is fast approaching. Oh man, so stressed. But our crochet along will be starting on Christmas Day, December 25th, and it is going to go until the last day in February 2019. This is going to be called the Love Your Stash Cowl, and you can use that hashtag on Instagram. I will be opening a chatter thread fairly soon in my Ravelry group, which you can find a link to directly down below. If you haven't joined, why not? Come on over and join our Ravelry group where there's some great conversation going on. There's Finished Object Party. It's super fun. So the chatter thread will be open in the next couple of weeks, and then a Finished Objects thread will be open starting on Christmas Day. You are not allowed to start until Christmas Day, okay? There is basically one rule to this crochet along, and that is you must use yarn from your stash. Now, I am trying to promote stash positivity, if that makes sense. I hear a lot of people being like, oh, I have so much yarn, I bought this yarn, I don't know what to do with it, my stash is overwhelming me, my stash is stressing me out. And we have yarn in our stash, right, that we have bought because it was lovely and because it spoke to us. I hope you are worth the good yarn, okay? Don't buy something and leave it in your stash for 9 years because you can't find the perfect pattern for it. Just use your good yarn. It's just yarn, okay? If it doesn't work in the pattern that you have chosen, then just rip it out. The worst thing that could happen, as long as it's a yarn that you can frog, I should say, is you pull it out, it looks like crinkly spaghetti, you wind it back into a skein, and you soak it, and the wrinkles fall out, and you can reuse it for another pattern. You are worth the good yarn that has been hiding in your stash. And this is something that I struggled with for quite some time when I first started crocheting. And this is something that happens in my actual life, not just with yarn. What I would do is I would buy stuff because it was on sale, not because I loved it. I would be like, oh, well, This tan and brown yarn is only $1.50 a ball, so clearly I should buy like 8 balls of it. Despite the fact that I don't own anything that's brown. I never wear brown. It's not my color palette, and I didn't really like the yarn at all. I made something out of it that turned out to be gigantic, and then I gave it away to someone else. Now, if you're gifting it, then okay, that's fine. But basically, I bought it just because it was on sale and I wanted to have more. Not because it spoke to me, not because it was special to me. And so I'm really trying to be very intentional about the things that I buy and only buy things that bring me joy. And I love cheap yarn. You guys know, if you've been around for any length of time, I am a fan of acrylic. I love it. All of this is acrylic. By the way, this is the Lottie and Albert rainbow blanket. That is a free pattern online. And this is all various acrylic. I just held 6 strands together with a 25mm hook. And it is a pretty awesome blanket for the couch, I must say. Excuse me. If I sound like a frog, you may notice that I might have a little bit less energy than normal, and I seem to be very pale. That is because I definitely am not feeling 100%. I have a giant mug of tea that has 2 bags of tea in it. Yes, 2. It is one of my favorite teas, which came out last year around the holidays, and it's called a Glazed Lemon Loaf by Tazo, which is the Starbucks tea brand. It smells so good. It currently is boiling lava hot, so I can't drink it, which is why the lid is off. So I'm being very careful because all of my cups have lids because I constantly knock them over and drown everything around me. So in a couple of minutes, once it's cooled down enough to not burn me to death, I will put my lid on. And then I'll be probably sipping that for the rest of the podcast in between talking because I think it's getting to me. Not that you need to know all of that. Just forgive me if I'm a little less exciting than I normally am. Anyways, back to the Love Your Stash Cowl. You are worth a good yarn, so pick out a pattern and use your good yarn, okay? Make something for yourself. The reason we are starting this on Christmas Day is because I know you are all drowning in gift knits and gift crochet things, and I am as well. And you will see it in my works in progress. But basically, the only rule is you need to use yarn from your stash. Now, I will make an exception if, for instance, you are making an entire sweater and you run out of yarn. Well, of course, you are allowed to buy another ball. But you can't buy new yarn to start this project. Another reason we are starting on Christmas Day is because I want you to be able to use any yarn that you receive for Christmas as part of your crochet along. You can do anything as long as it is fiber related. You can crochet, you can knit, you can spin, you can weave, you can embroider, you can cross stitch. Anything that involves fiber, go ahead. I have one work in progress that I have not touched in like 2 months that is beautiful. It's a beautiful shawl, but it requires a lot of concentration, which is why it has been languishing in my UFO bin. So I will be working on that as one of my projects, and the second project I want to start is a cardigan with some purple yarn that has been in my stash since April of this year that I bought for my birthday. I bought it for myself because it was so beautiful. It was going to be my first 100% wool sweater. It's 100% merino. It's beautiful yarn. Have I touched it? No. Anyways, I'm going to make a Tunisian crochet cardigan. I believe it's called the Soft Gray Cardigan by Cat Golden. It's gorgeous. So I really want to wind up the yarn and swatch so that I can start on Christmas Day, but the way things are going, that is absolutely not going to happen. So it's okay, we have until the end of February. Use your unfinished objects. This is a great time because they're part of your stash as well. If you have 20 unfinished objects or even 2 and one of them is just like hanging over your head, finish it or frog it, but don't let it stress you out. So use the hashtag #LoveYourStashCowl. Keep an eye out on Ravelry. The only rule is that you have to use yarn from your stash. That's it. And I can't wait to see what you guys make. You guys are always so inspiring to me. The Nerd Along, like just so many projects that are now in my favorites and in my queue. And when am I going to make them? I have no idea. But let it never be said that there is a lack of inspiration. I should mention, now that we are several minutes into the podcast, that if you are looking for me anywhere on the interweb, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook as The Cozy Cottage Crochet. I am most active on Instagram. And I am posting in stories almost every day this month on Instagram because you guys saw the amount of tea I got in the last podcast. I am posting every time I drink one on my Instagram stories. So if you want to know all the crazy kinds of tea that I got and the tea advent calendar that I made, you just need to follow me on Instagram and you will see that. In fact, I just posted right before sitting down to record that I was drinking 2 bags of tea. So, you can't see this, but there's literally still steam coming out. Should we try it? I'm scared. Ooh, too hot. Now I have a tiny little burn spot on my tongue. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, inquiries, anything to do with the podcast, please send me an email. That is the best way to get a hold of me. If you send me an Instagram message or especially a Facebook message, the chance that I'm going to see that and respond to you in a timely manner is very small, especially this month. I may note that someone sent me something, and by the time I go back to look at it, it's gone because it's several days later because of my work schedule. So please send me an email to thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. If you are a returning viewer, hello! Hi, I'm so happy you're here. If you're a new viewer, thanks for stopping by. I've got a lot to talk about. We'll just pray that my voice will last. I have one other special announcement before we get into finished objects, and that is that I have released a new pattern. This is the, oh, look how good that's showing up. These lights are fabulous, you guys. You can see there are pine trees. This is called the Pine Forest Cowl. It is my newest pattern. It went live on Ravelry on December 1st, which I'm very excited about. And it's very subtly Christmas. It's very simple. So all you need to know to do is double crochet and chain. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's big enough to wrap around twice. I made this using 1 ball of the mohair brushed buttercream. Somebody commented and said that their Joann's like clearanced this out and wasn't carrying it anymore, and my Joann's has like a ton of this. And the reason I picked this yarn was so that people could access it, but this yarn says that it is a sport weight yarn. That is not true. The yardage is definitely, so we have 140 grams to 630 yards. That's approximately 200 yards per 50 grams. That's a fingering weight yarn. It's a little bit plump, but it's definitely a fingering weight. I still had this much left. So you could keep going. 1 ball of this is $10 at Joann's. It is an acrylic mohair blend. Actually, it's 80% acrylic, 10% nylon, and then 10% mohair. So you have a little bit of fanciness in it. I love the color. And basically, if you have a coupon, a 50% off coupon or a 60% off coupon, you could spend $4 or $5 on this yarn and make an entire cowl. And it's Christmas, but it's subtle. You can wear it all year round. No one will know. Oh, I'm not feeling very well, so I'm wearing very comfy clothes. I did not put any effort into my outfit, so I am wearing comfy pants, wool socks, and my shirt says, Namaste in bed. My husband got this for me quite a while ago, and it's one of my favorite shirts of all time. So if you would like this pattern, there is a link directly to my Ravelry store down below, and all of my other patterns as well. I'm gonna wear this for a little while. Maybe it'll keep my throat warm. Although with wool socks, it's a little bit hot. So we'll see how long it lasts. Okay, let's jump in to finished objects. I have one, only one, sadly, finished object. And it's even not finished, because I haven't weaved in the ends and I haven't blocked it. But the last stitch is done and the yarn is cut. It is living in, it is bursting out of, I should say, one of my favorite bags. This is a flower bag made for me by Rebecca of Tree Frog Yarn. I love it. It has a pin on it. It says happiness is crochet. And then this amazing pin that was a lovely gift from Vicky, who is Busy Nana. I love that pin. As soon as I got it in the mail, you will have seen it on the last podcast episode, I knew immediately that it needed to go on this bag. And of course, these buttons, you will see a lot of them on my bags. They're all from Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast and the Crochet Luna Etsy store. She has amazing buttons and pins for crocheters. You need to check them out. It's huge. Let me tell you what the yarn is first. This is how much I have left, but I did order extra. Strings everywhere. So this is Barocco DK, Barocco Vintage DK in let's see. I know I wrote the colorway name. Okay, charcoal is the gray, and this is Yukon green. So this is charcoal. This is Yukon green. Are you ready? Ta-da! Oh man, it's gray, so it's gonna completely blow out the camera at random spots, I'm sure. So I apologize for that in advance. Basically, this is a giant triangle shawl with solid fabric and rows of ribbing interspersed. And I've done it all in gray, with the last ribbing being in the Yukon green. It's not even going to fit in the screen. That's how big it is. The inspiration for this shawl came from, there is a knitting pattern called the void shawl. This looks nothing like the void shawl, but the void shawl is basically a giant triangle shawl that is very squishy, it has some texture to it, and it's a solid fabric. So when it's actually cold, you can bundle up in this. You can bundle up in the void shawl and be very, very warm. And that I wanted to create something like that in crochet, especially because, you know, it's coming up on January. Here, take this off. Now, this is not blocked, so it's a little bit stiff, but you can see that this would keep you very warm. You could wear it over your shoulders if you wanted to. I envision like wearing this under a coat or something, especially in a cold place, because it's gonna keep your warm. It's gonna keep you warm. Of course, it's gonna keep you warm. It's gonna keep your neck warm, and the material is actually stiff enough where if you have it wrapped like this, you can put it up over your nose and it will stay. Just like that. You probably can't hear me when I put it up over my face. This is where I was last time. Look at this little Scottish sheep. I only had like 12 rows left, and it took me a while to finish it because I basically was not paying attention and missed a stitch somewhere. So I had to go back and figure out what happened. I just double crocheted 2 stitches together by accident. So, there. This is going to be called the Frost Shawl. It is not ready for testing. I really wanted to have the pattern written this week, and I don't think that's gonna happen unless I can squeeze it in today or tomorrow, and that's looking pretty unlikely because of how I feel. But once it's ready for testers, if you're on my tester list, you will get an email, and then whoever is available can respond. There will be a pretty tight deadline on this because I would like to get this released in January, where people can make it while it's still cold outside. So this is the Frost Shawl. I love it. I'm so happy with it. You could obviously make this in any color that you want, in any color combination. You could stripe it. You could make the whole thing one color. I just thought it would be nice with the green accent, especially for photos. So there you go. I was playing a little bit of Yarn Chicken at the end, but I won. I won Yarn Chicken. And this is a wool. Did I say? I think it's a 60-40 wool acrylic blend. No, that's wrong. I shouldn't guess. It is 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. So this is a very squishy yarn. It's super cozy, and it's pretty inexpensive considering for wool, for what you get. So you do need a lot of it to make this shawl. You could totally make it with acrylic yarn that you buy at Joann's or Michael's or your local big box store, or a lesser percentage of wool, or even no wool if you are sensitive to that. But I will show that to you again once the pattern is ready, and of course once it's blocked and I've weaved in the ends. I haven't done that either. That's my only finished object. I really had hoped, I'm gonna put this back on. I feel very cozy. Love it. At least, I mean, I should be wearing crochet. This is a crochet podcast, right? I had hoped to have some more finished objects. I had grand plans for the last 2 weeks. I have had a very little amount of crochet time. December is basically an insane month for work. It's a straight run to Christmas. For those of you who don't know, I work at a church. I am a pastor, so we basically have something every single day until Christmas Eve. Well, we have something on Christmas Eve too. And then after Christmas, I will get several days off where I can just lie down and try to recover. This week it's Friday, Actually, it's Friday at 12:30 right now. Normally I'm done recording the podcast by now, but I have not felt very well. So I got up, I had something to do this morning. I came back home, I took a shower, and I went to sleep for 2 hours. And now I am recording. I don't think I would have been able to record earlier. So that's just life. But this week so far, I have worked 53, 55 hours, not including commuting time, which is like an hour and a half for me every day. And I am working tomorrow. So I have had almost no crochet time. And still, I managed to get a couple of things worked on, which I'm excited about. So the first thing I want to show you is, surprise, another hat. I realized right when I turned the recording on that I have no idea what hat number this is. I think it's 5. I think this is hat number 5. I need to make 8. I'm crossing my fingers that I only need to make 8. I may have to make 1 or 2 more by the end of January, and if that's the case, then I will be stressed out. But if this is 5 and I only have to make 8, then I'm making good progress. I'm about half an inch away from doing the decreases at the crown. For those of you who care, I've said this before, but I don't mind saying it again. Basically, I cast on 88 stitches on a 4.5 millimeter circular needle. I do 4 inches of 2x2 rib, and then I do stockinette until it gets to 9 3/4 inches, and then I do the decreases following the Pearl Soho classic cuffed hat pattern, which is free if you Google it. But now I don't even look up the decreases. I have them memorized. And I just want to show you, this is hat number 5, and this is my hat bag that they're living in. I don't know if you can see that. You see the fuzz? I can't use any other bag, basically, until these hats are done, because these hats leave black fuzz on everything until they're washed. Why? I don't know, but they do. So they're staying in that bag. I will not be using any other bag, and then that bag will get cleaned once all of the hats are made. Work in progress number 2. Ooh, this is actually a new work in progress. And I'm going to do these 2 together because I do not have time to do gift crochet or gift knitting this Christmas. I just don't. So there are only a couple of things that are going to be gifts. Normally people do get some stuff from me. Pretty much everyone in my in-laws family or in my family has gotten something that's been crocheted or knitted by me. But not this year. This year I'm only making 2 things. And number 1 is this. I have 2 balls of this Bernat blanket yarn. It's the Blanket Brights in the colorway Jump Rope. This is 100% polyester. It's basically like microfiber, bulky weight blanket yarn. And I am making a baby blanket. Now I knew that I would not have time to make an actual baby blanket. I prefer to make them out of sport weight yarn, and I love to do a corner to corner baby blanket. So I was like, well, I'll just get big blanket yarn and I'll do a corner to corner blanket with that. And it is working up so fast. This is using a 9 millimeter hook. I have a Clover Amour 9 millimeter hook, which is plastic, and I love my Clover Amours. They're like the best thing ever, but I don't love the plastic ones. After 6 millimeters, they change from metal to plastic, and I find that it's like harder to get the yarn sliding around on the hook. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not being clear, but I don't love it. So maybe in the future I'll look for something else that's a 9 millimeter hook, but this is what I've got so far. I'm gonna do basically, I don't know how big. I may go until I'm almost out of yarn on the first ball and then start decreasing. Then go to the second ball, and then once that's done, I'm going to put a purple border on. Let's see what this color is. This color is called Pow Purple, and I agree with that. This baby blanket, I am not going to say who it's for, on the off chance that this person watches the podcast. I am pretty sure they don't. I don't see why they would. They don't crochet or knit or anything like that. But if you think it's for you, it's probably not. It's for someone very close to my family who is having a baby. So that is a new cast on, new hook on. I'm not very far in it, as you can see. That was like 2 sittings of 20 minutes each time, and I really need to work on it. So maybe I'll get some, this whole episode's gonna be like, maybe I'll get some time. I'm not gonna get some time, but that blanket's gotta be finished by Christmas, so Let's try this tea. See if it, oh, it's still steaming. But now it's a good temperature. Oh, it feels so good. My throat is so scratchy. You have to forgive me for drinking tea. I don't know if I'll make it through without it. I mean, will we make it through anything without tea? No, tea is the best. I have been working on a pair of socks because this is small enough to transport in my backpack everywhere I have been all week. I have this purple yarn. This is like preparation for the year of the sock because I'm working on it before January. 2019 is going to be the year of the sock. This is Premier Serenity sock yarn in the colorway Violas. And you saw this last time. Actually, this is an interesting sock yarn. I want to tell you the construction of it because it is 50% superwash merino, and it's also 25% nylon and 25% rayon made from bamboo. I think that's cool. I am all tangled up. Okay, so I have 2 balls of this for 2 socks. This is one. I love the self-striping. It looks, I think it's fabulous. And then I have a second sock. These are almost the same size. Almost exactly the same size. This one is a little bit shorter. I only have about an inch, maybe a ½ inch on one and an inch on the other sock until I get to the heel. And of course I'm going to do a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I do these on my 9-inch circular ChowGoo 2.25 millimeters. Maybe I will get to do these heels tomorrow. It is highly unlikely, but hopefully those will be finished. They're just going to be a pair of shorty socks, and they've been like just going around with me and in meetings because I have had a few meetings this week. I've just been working on those because I don't really have to look at sock knitting. So those have gotten a lot of love comparatively, but only because they don't require any attention at all. My last work in progress, I wish there was more done on it. I really had hoped to have at least one sleeve done, but I am nowhere close. I don't know, you guys. Am I going to get this done by Christmas? It seems unlikely. I really want to get it done by Christmas Eve so I can wear it to the Christmas Eve service that we have. It is, of course, my Crimson Hooded Cardigan, which is a pattern in interweave crochet, winter 2018. I started the sleeves, and they are both exactly the same size because I'm doing them concurrently to make sure that my gauge is okay. I actually did about this much, and then I decided my gauge was a little small, so I ripped it out, and then I redid it on a 5mm hook instead of 4.5. So this is how big one sleeve is. I am halfway through the first set of increases. You basically increase, and then you have 3 rows of plain pattern. And this is what the pattern looks like. And then there's going to be a section that has an increase and then 4 rows in plain pattern, and then you have to shape for the shoulder, underarm. You have to do some shaping, and then several more rows of plain pattern. So I'm not even halfway through, but I am not halfway through on 2 of them that are the same size. They're exactly the same size. I've been doing one pattern repeat on one and then switching to the other one and back and forth and back and forth. I really plan to do some work on this, I don't know, tonight. Depends on if I feel like it. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's like fuzz flying around, and it went straight up my nose, as normally happens when you're working with yarn. This is Valley Yarns Haydenville. This is how much I have left of one ball. So I'm assuming the sleeves are probably going to be 2 balls each, maybe a little more than 2. I don't know. This is a 60% superwash merino, 40% acrylic. This is a yarn from Webs in the colorway Red, and I love it. As soon as the sleeves are done, I can block all the pieces and start seaming, and then once it's seamed, then I have to do the entire hood, which seems like, oh, you just have the hood to do. No, it's 2 pieces continuing in every row cable, and you got to do like another 12 inches of that on each side. So it's another like 24 inches of cabling. So that's why I'm concerned that this is not going to be done by Christmas. But I would really like it to be. I don't know. I don't know. So it's living in my Halloween bag that I got from Elizabeth, who has Crochet Cakes on Etsy and on Instagram and the Crochet Cakes podcast. And that is my last work in progress. As you can see, I have not done a lot. For 2 weeks, I don't feel like that's very much at all. Work has been crazy. And I just want to say, you need to be nice to people at Christmas. Like, I know some people have a hard time at Christmas, but like retail workers have a hard time at Christmas. Like people who work with the public have a hard time, so you need to be nice to them because we are working long hours. I am not a retail worker. I work in a church. However, still, there is a lot of things that go on at Christmas, and I am basically insanely busy. So just like be patient with people. Be like, if someone doesn't respond to you in 5 seconds, don't call someone and complain. Just relax. It's Christmas. You should be having a good time. I should be having a good time. This is the first Christmas that I have worked like this. Normally Christmas is like a quieter time where everything's kind of winding down and you have some vacation time, and I will have vacation time after Christmas. But basically when you work in a church, there is nothing crazier than the Christmas season, except maybe Easter, but that's only one day, not a whole month. So I have not been feeling especially Christmassy because I have been feeling so tired. And last week on Friday, I felt kind of icky, and I was like, oh no, I think I'm probably gonna get sick. And I've been taking vitamin C and like doing all these things because I don't want to be sick. I don't have time for this. But I made it through the weekend. On Sunday last week, I worked from like 7:30 a.m. till about 10 p.m. So I was a little bit tired. And then Monday and Tuesday, I felt a little bit better because I didn't work quite so many hours. And then Wednesday and Thursday this week, I worked a lot of hours, so now I feel kind of crap. It's like my body can't recover because I haven't been giving it enough time, which is why I took a nap this morning after I came home for 2 hours. And I know it's 1 o'clock almost now, but I'm considering taking another nap. I don't know. We should move on. I'm looking down at all the things I have to show you. We should move on to Happy Yarn Mail, which is an acquisition segment. I have a lot of things to show you, and I'm very excited about all of them. I did want to show you one particular bag of tea that I got in the mail. I don't know if you can see this. Popcorn tea. What? Popcorn is my favorite food of all time, but I have never in my life heard of popcorn tea. This is a German tea. I thought it was so unique and so interesting, so I pulled it out specifically to show you that there is tea in every flavor. I don't know when I'm going to drink that. I may save it for something special. Maybe I'll drink it on Christmas. That was really fun to get popcorn tea in the mail. I have received a couple of things for prizes. First of all, a lovely viewer of this podcast named Stephanie, hi Stephanie, sent me a giant bag of yarn to use for prizes for whatever I want. So most of this will probably be prizes for the Love Your Stash Cowl, and we'll see depending on how many prizes I have. There's a whole mess of tea in here, and I'm just going to pull things out and show you. I apologize for any crinkling. There is a ball of chunky tweed Serenity yarn, which I've never even seen this yarn, so this is cool. There is 2 balls of Cascade North Shore prints. This is 100% acrylic. It's definitely a striping yarn. And I'm gonna go with, it's 220 yards for 100 grams, so what is that? It's probably sport weight. It's a little plump. This is 100, I said it's 100% acrylic, but you know it feels like cotton? Like this is really heavy. It does not feel like 100 grams. Because this is also 100 grams, and I know they're the same weight, but this feels heavy. So, I don't know. That's really interesting yarn. There is Bernat Satin in the colorway Sable. I think there's this one. There might be another ball of this in there too. There are a couple of these Lion Brand Vanna's Glamour. This is sparkly yarn. So pretty. There are 2 balls of this. This is also the Serenity Chunky Tweed, which I think this would make like the best winter hat, in my opinion. And there's more of this. There's another ball of the Serenity Tweed. There's a tea bag that I forgot. There is a crochet hook case, which that is really cool. And there's also a set of wooden crochet hooks that has a gauge, a needle gauge in it, as well as a measuring tape. That's like a complete set of wooden crochet hooks. So that was extremely generous. And there's some stitch markers in there that I'll pull them out once I draw all the prizes at the end of February. But oh, that's so generous. This is all stuff from her stash, because we're doing a Love Your Stash Cowl, that she wants to pass on to someone who can actually use it. So thank you so much, Stephanie. That was very sweet of you. This giant, when this showed up on my door, I was like, what in the world? Because she had contacted me and said she was going to be sending maybe some stitch markers and maybe like something that she thought we could find a better use for. I was not expecting a giant bag of yarn. So I appreciate you. The prize winners are going to feel very special indeed when they get that. It's time to put the lid on. Tea break. I love that tea so much. Next, I got a package in the mail from Desiree, who has the Dizzy Stitches Crochet podcast on YouTube, which you can totally check out. She found some vintage like stitch dictionaries. So there is one on called Knit Your Own Norwegian Sweaters, which I haven't really had I haven't been able to look into this because it actually came in the mail yesterday. But this, I want to show you this. Look at that. Can you imagine doing color work like that? Probably you can if you're a knitter. I've never done color work. Not like that. Oh, I found some color photos. Let's see. This is the same one in color. That's crazy. That's crazy. If you follow Papa Bear Bags on Instagram, he does color work like that, and it is literally mind-blowing. So that is a cool, cool book. And then this is Have You Any Wool? The Creative Use of Yarn. And let's see if I can find. This was copyrighted in 1986, so before I was born. And it's just got all kinds of things. It's got crochet in here. It's got knitting. It's got patterns. It's got all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. That's really cool. Let me see when this one was copyrighted. 1974. That's cool. So thank you so much, Desiree. If you guys have a chance, go check out her podcast, the Dizzy Stitches Crochet Podcast on YouTube. I will be perfectly honest and tell everyone that I am hopelessly behind on YouTube right now, and I don't like it. Like, I feel like I miss you guys, especially if you have a podcast. Like, I try to watch. I can't keep up. The Vlogmases are just pushing my feed way, way down, and I want to watch them because they always make me feel so Christmassy. I have not had any moments to myself to watch them. I have a couple of mail acquisitions. Ooh, I did want to tell you, I showed this last time, but I wanted to show specifically, or tell you that the Etsy shop has launched. So Yarn on the Prairie, who is Melissa Hayes. If you search Yarn on the Prairie on Etsy, and I'll put a link down below as well, she has opened her hand-dyed yarn shop, and she actually opened it like a day after I recorded the last podcast. So my timing was not great, but she sent me this, and I showed this last time. This is her colorway called Under the Sea, and this is a repeatable colorway. She had some in her shop the last time I checked. So if you want this beautiful yarn, you just need to go to her shop and support her. She is a viewer of this podcast, and this is amazing yarn. This is a one-of-a-kind that she sent me. This is sock yarn. So it doesn't really have a name or anything, but she does have great yarn. And I know I showed this last time, but I just wanted to let you know that her Etsy shop is open now, just in time. So if you want something for Christmas, there's still time. Treat yourself. I have three purchases that I made kind of as Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of purchases. Not that I wouldn't have bought them without that. Like, they weren't really, I'll tell you the sale. So the first one I want to show you, I'm sure you know who this is from. This is from Moon Tower Dye Works. This is the colorway Go Fly a Cat. That's funny. I saw this when she posted it on Instagram a while back, and I fell in love with it. And then I had to wait and save some money. So I ordered this Go Fly a Cat. It is sock yarn, so 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and she included this amazing green mini with it, with my order. And then of course, she sent me a button, and this is her card. Moon Tower Dye Works on Etsy. She's one of my favorite dyers in existence. You guys know that. I'm gushing. I also ordered from two people that I have not ordered anything from in the past, so I was really excited. The first one is Pandia's Jewels, who I followed on Instagram for quite a long time, but I've never ordered anything from her. She knits amazing colorwork sweaters. So she sent a 10-yard sample of a yarn on her Nimbus base. Look at the halo, you can even see it. This is 69% silk, 22% kid mohair, and 9% nylon. And look at this little sheep button. She also, because it was part of the Black Friday deal, sent two little stitch markers, which you can't really see, but they say love and joy. And this is the yarn that I bought from her. This was a sale yarn. It was in her sale bin, so it was already reduced a little bit, and then on Cyber Monday she had like an extra 10% off. So I snagged this yarn because it was so beautiful, and also because the name of this yarn is New Knit Order. Can't resist. So I love it. This is her tag. It is 75-25 merino nylon blend. So I'm really excited to try that yarn because, like I said, I've been following her on Instagram forever, and I finally got to try it. There's gonna be some crinkling. Sorry, there's no way around this. I don't want to say a new indie dyer, but basically there is a person named Melissa. She used to go by Melissa Dawn Wool Artist on Instagram, and now she has changed her business name to Acorn Willows. And she had a sale of her yarn on Black Friday it was also her birthday. She was turning 42, so she had a 42% off sale. Am I getting that right? I think it was 42% off everything. And I had already planned to buy something from her on Black Friday. And I had planned to buy something previously, and I was saving up because I wanted to buy 2 skeins so that I could use one for a giveaway. But when she had that sale, it was so, I don't know, it was like, let me just show you the yarn. This is the one that I got for me. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at this. This is an 80-20 merino nylon blend. This is the colorway Up From the Ashes. It looked a little more muted in the photo, and when I pulled it out of the package, I was like, oh, it's amazing. This is going to be a prize for the Love Your Stash Cowl. This is the colorway First Frost. Oh my gosh. Isn't it beautiful? It's so pretty. I'm very excited. So I'm gonna put this in the prize pile. Some lucky person is going to get an amazing skein of hand-dyed merino nylon yarn from Melissa, who is Acorn Willows. She also included some minis and said Merry Christmas, and that was very sweet of her. Thank you so much. These don't have names, but they're the same base. So I think they go together so well. They're so pretty. And then she included something in the package that kind of blew me away, because there was an extra skein in there, and this is the colorway Middle Earth. That's a Lord of the Rings reference, in case you didn't know. I have Sauron tattooed on my leg, so nerd alert. This actually, so it was from Melissa, but it wasn't, like, it came from her, but it was actually a gift from a viewer of this podcast, one of my Instagram friends. And I'm so sorry, I don't know if I'm going to say your name right, because we've never met in person. You live very, very far away from me. But I believe it's Maracasa. And if I'm saying that wrong, I'm so sorry. But your little, like, what is it? Your little avatar on Instagram, I always see it. And you always like my posts and comment. And she sent this to me and just said, Merry Christmas. And I don't know what to say to that. Like, I feel like thank you isn't really adequate. But it's beautiful. I love it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Wow, it's so amazing. I can't decide if I want to put it with something else or just make something out of that one skein of yarn. So, look at all this yarn. This blue one, remember, is a prize. And a minis. So that was really, really exciting. Thank you so much, Maracasa. Thank you, Melissa. You dyed beautiful yarn. I got one more thing in the mail, and then I want to talk about Yarn Lounge, which was like a yarn festival. Okay. Oh, I have to take it off. It's getting too hot. I'm hot. It was cold yesterday, and it's like back to in the 70s now. I got a package in the mail yesterday when I came home, and I got home late, and I was so tired, and I didn't feel very well because it had been a long day. And it was from a person that I actually met in Vegas at Sin City Knits when we had the meetup. So I went to Vegas back in August, and I met up with Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast and Zelda of NRJ3, right? NRJ3, yes, on YouTube. And then Stephanie of the Tatted Tatter podcast. We met up and we had a crochet meetup at Sin City Knits, which is a yarn store. And we met this lovely person named Nicole. And it was just the best time. And then when I had posted, like, I was looking for tea, she said, oh, I'll send you a bag of tea. She sent me a bag of tea. That's not all she sent. She sent the most amazing skein of yarn that she hand dyed herself. She doesn't have an Etsy shop or anything. She just, like, just does this to be artistic. I think that's incredible. Like, I mean, I would like to try dyeing yarn sometime to see what it's like. But right now, this, like, blows my mind. Like, how do you even do that? It's beautiful. And it basically made my whole night. And she wrote the sweetest note. So, Nicole, I just want to say thank you. You didn't have to do that. But you kind of made my whole day. Because it was a rather long day. And I got home and I was so tired. And I was like, oh, there's the package. And I opened it. And I pulled this out before I pulled the note out. And then I read your note. And I was like, oh, it's so nice. So, thank you. Last thing I want to talk about is Yarn Lounge. So there is a little festival, kind of, that happened last Saturday in Tampa at 81 Bay Brewing, which is a brewery in South Tampa. So my local yarn store, which is Stash, a Place for Yarn in St. Pete, just bought another yarn store. So there was another yarn store in Tampa that was closing, and basically they called Stash and they were like, do you want to buy our stock, or like, do you want to buy the yarn store? And so they thought about it and they're like, all right, we're gonna buy the yarn store. That way it won't close, because it's the only yarn store in that little area. So they had their grand opening on Saturday, December 1st, and I definitely wanted to go. Kristen is just, she's the owner. She's just a wonderful person. So I went with yarn friend Marisi, and hi if you're watching. And we went to Stash first. So I got all kinds of footage of that. And if you go check out the video titled Yarn Lounge, which is the video right before this one on my channel, it's not that long. It's maybe like 15 minutes long. You will see footage of the new yarn store at Stash, and you will also see footage of Yarn Lounge. So I went in with a budget, and my budget was based on you guys, because I was a little overwhelmed by your support of the Pine Forest Cowl, which I have been wearing and recently took off because it was so hot. But because you guys just bought this pattern, it gave me some money to spend, like more than I would normally have spent. I would have bought like maybe one thing. So I bought one thing at Stash, which is this amazing skein of hedgehog fibers. I saw this yarn last time I was there at midnight in the St. Pete location, and I kept looking at it and being like, it's everything I love, I should buy it, and I didn't buy it. I'm good at talking myself out of stuff, but it was there, and it was like the last one pretty much in the Tampa location. So I bought it. It says this is the colorway Potluck, but I did some Googling and it doesn't seem that this is the colorway Potluck. I don't know. It's what it's written on the ball band, but it's beautiful. And this is a 90-10 merino nylon blend. So I don't know if that would be very good for socks or not. I feel like people have said stuff about Hedgehog not holding up super well for socks, but if you've made socks out of Hedgehog, let me know. How have they held up for you? I'm interested. Because if I'm not gonna put this into socks, then I'll put it into something else, but it's gorgeous. I couldn't say no to it. Again, sorry, there was a bug. Why is there a bug in my house? Then we went over to the brewery, which it had the yarn festival. And when I say yarn festival, please, it's very small. There's footage of it. There was like 4 vendors. So there was, I think there was 5 vendors. There was Olive and 2U, which is kind of putting on the event. There was Sunshine Dye Works, which is a local dyer in St. Pete, Tampa area. There was Fat Bunny Yarn, who is a local dyer in Clearwater and actually goes to Stash. Like I've seen her at Knit Nights before. So I wanted to support her. Then there was a company that does cotton yarn dyeing, like it's 100% cotton, and their colors are amazing. And so definitely go check out that little vlog because you will see that they have amazing colors, and I didn't even know you could do that on hand-dyed cotton. So that's pretty incredible. And then there was a bag maker who had the most amazing bags and stitch markers. I could have spent like $1 billion probably, but I didn't. I bought 1 skein of yarn from Fat Bunny Yarns because I really, really wanted to support her. This is her colorway, Oh Jessica. I don't know what that means, but I like it. This is a bulky yarn. You get 109 yards for 100 grams, and it's 100% superwash merino. And this is a repeatable colorway. So what I am hoping to do is actually design a pattern with like a hat pattern or something 1 skein with this yarn, and that way you guys can go support her too, because I think it's super cute. This is her little logo. Fat Bunny Yarn. And she also gave me 2 little stitch markers, which you kind of like, I don't know if you can see, but it's a little bunny and a carrot. So cute. So I don't know when, because my life is insane, I'm going to design this pattern, but I am going to because I want to support her. She did not give me this yarn. I bought it. Because I want to support her, and I want to design a pattern because I want to support her, and I just think she's doing a great thing. There was an amazing Harry Potter bag there, and there was an amazing skein of yarn from Olive and 2U that I almost bought. But instead, they had something that I didn't know existed, so I bought that, and I used up all my money. So Olive and 2U, this is their card. Olive and 2U Studios. They hand dye yarns, they have fiber accessories, and what I bought was a set of Chalgu mini twists. I did not know these existed. I was actually looking for something like this about 4 or 5 months ago, maybe, and maybe they did exist and I just didn't know, but I could only find them in bigger sizes. Maybe I wasn't Googling correctly, I don't know, but basically what this is a set of tiny interchangeables. You get 6 sets of needles twice. So you get from 2 millimeters to 3.25 millimeters, and you get them in a 2-inch and a 3-inch tip. So these are the 2-inch tips. Yes. I just dropped all of the needles out of the bottom row. Oh, it's a good thing that they have their size like etched in. Otherwise, I'd never get them back in the right pocket. These are the 3-inch tips. I'm gonna put this down before I cause a disaster. So you get this little case. Be careful where I step until I pick those up. You also get the tiniest lace interchangeable cables. And then of course you get a little needle gauge, a key for tightening, some stoppers, and some tiny, tiny stitch markers. I'm gonna be perfectly honest and say I hemmed and hawed about this for like 20 minutes before I bought it because I have been looking for this. But, oh, I'm sorry, I have to pick up these needles. I can't not pick them up. Look at how tiny they are. They're so itty bitty. I've been looking for this and I just couldn't see that they existed. So when I saw them, I was like, oh no, those are expensive. If I buy them, then I can't buy all the other stuff I want to buy. And then I was like, I'm not going to buy them. And then I wandered around for a while, and then I drank my cider, and I wandered around, and I was like, I don't know. And then I looked on Amazon, and Amazon actually did have these, and there was a $7 price difference from buying them from the Olive and 2U and buying them on Amazon. $7, not that much. Certainly not more. Like, if it had been $25, okay, I could probably have bought them on Amazon. But $7 to support a local business I like saw the two ladies, like they're right there. I could not pass up an opportunity to support them like that. So I bought that, and then I didn't buy anything else because then I was out of money. What was really neat is 2 people came up and said hi to me and that they recognized me from my podcast, which was kind of crazy. I was not expecting that at all. One lady said hi to me in the line at Stash when I was checking out with this. She was just like, oh, I like your podcast. And I was like, thanks. And I didn't really get to have a conversation. And then there was another lovely lady who stopped me when I was in line to buy those. And we had a conversation. So hi, I'm so happy that I got to meet you. And then when I was giving my email address to the Olive and 2U ladies, she was like, oh my gosh, I know you from Instagram. And I was like, you do? What? I do not know how to handle people recognizing me. It was kind of super neat. So if you are like out and about, like you see me at a yarn store, you see me at Joann's, I don't know, wherever you happen to be, and you see me at some kind of a fiber event and you recognize me, please come say hi. I would love to meet you in real life. I will tell you I am horrendous with names, but I am really good with faces. So I'll be like, hey, you, haha. Sorry, I think in pictures. I try really hard to remember people's names. I can't do it unless they're like hammered into my head. So I had a blast. And then my husband came because it was at a brewery, and so we played Candyland and we played Sorry, and it was just a pretty great day. So watch the vlog if you want to see all the footage of the beautiful yarn. And I think that's it. I'm surrounded by so much stuff. I don't know, it's probably gonna take me like 20 minutes to put all this away. Actually, it's a good thing that it needs to be put away now that I've podcasted, because it's kind of taking over my living room. I have this giant pile of stuff that I needed to talk to you about. And that was like last week. So, gosh, I don't know. We made it. Thanks for sticking with me if you stuck with me this long. My voice held out, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna clean all of this up and then, I don't know, maybe lie down again, because I don't feel so good. I'm not sick. You know what, like that song, I'm not sick, but I'm not well, and something's wrong. So I'm going to sign off from here. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. That just helps me to know and YouTube to know that I'm putting out content that you actually like and want to watch. If you are inclined, if you would like to see new videos as they come available on this channel, do hit the subscribe button down below. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me what you're gonna make for your Love Your Stash cowl, because I would love to know. Next time I'll try to have a picture of what I'm gonna make. I have it already, it's just buried. I can't find it. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks for another podcast episode. And until then, happy crafting. Bye.